She lies next to you, but her mind isn't where her body rests. And the most unsettling part? You already feel it. You sense her distance, the way her smile doesn't light up the same way when you walk into the room, the way her laughter seems louder when another man texts her phone. And yet, you keep giving. You pour out love, attention, effort, trying to prove that you're the one worth her heart. But deep down, you feel the truth pressing against your chest. She is quietly choosing someone else in the shadows, not because he's better, not because he loves her more, but because she feels something with him that you've unknowingly stopped making her feel. And that is the psychology no man wants to face, but every man needs to. Here's the part no one tells you. Women do not leave men for money, comfort, or stability. They leave men for emotion. When she feels alive in the presence of another man, when he triggers an emotional response in her body that you used to, she begins to slowly, secretly drift toward him. She may never admit it, she may still tell you she loves you, but her actions reveal the truth. She is giving her soul elsewhere. Now, why does this happen? Because men are taught to win women by giving, by proving worth, by showing loyalty, by standing as the rock. And yes, women respect that. But respect is not the same as desire. A woman can respect you, lean on you, and even care for you deeply while her soul aches for the man who excites her spirit. That man might not even have half of what you give. He may be less stable, less kind, less reliable. And still, he awakens the part of her she can't control. And here's the dark truth. She doesn't even always understand it herself. Ask her why she's pulling away, and she'll say, I don't know. Because female psychology isn't logical, it's emotional. She feels first, explains later. While you're busy analyzing what's missing, she's already chasing the feeling somewhere else. Men, hear me clearly. When you give her everything without boundaries, without challenge, without independence, you strip away the very polarity that created her attraction in the first place. She wanted a man who could stand alone, who didn't need her validation, who inspired her to step into his world, not one who wrapped his world around hers. Slowly, without noticing, you became predictable, safe, familiar. And though she may still love you in a comfortable sense, the thrill that once made her heart race is now attached to another man she should not want, but cannot help being drawn toward. Think about it. The man she secretly chooses doesn't beg for her attention. He doesn't smother her with constant reassurance. He doesn't overcompensate by giving her everything she asks for. Instead, he stands unshaken, as if her presence is valuable but not required. His independence reminds her of the challenge, the chase, the unknown that sparks a woman's deepest instincts. And though she may not consciously decide to give herself to him, the psychology running beneath the surface is undeniable. This is why so many men feel blindsided. They say, but I gave her everything. I treated her like a queen. I never let her down, and all of that may be true. But in giving her everything, you forgot the one thing she actually craves, the feeling of having to hold on to you, the fear of losing you, the sense that your presence is not guaranteed. That is what makes her fight for your attention. That is what keeps her respect alive. And when she no longer feels it, she quietly starts handing that energy to someone else who does create it. Understand this. Women do not fall for men who worship them. They fall for men they respect, men they cannot fully predict, men who make them feel both safe and alive. If you remove the alive part, safety alone becomes suffocating. And so she chooses him in secret, while you keep giving her everything. Picture this. You're driving her somewhere and she's looking out the window. She's physically next to you, but her energy feels miles away. You try to start a conversation, and her replies are short, distracted, almost hollow. You feel that sting in your chest, the unease that something isn't right. That's not an accident. That's not just stress or just being tired. That's the psychology of comparison working against you. She is measuring you, even unconsciously, against another man who has found his way into her thoughts. And while you keep giving more, she's quietly asking herself a dangerous question. What do I feel when I'm with him that I don't feel when I'm with you? Most men panic when they sense this distance. They start overcompensating, texting more, checking in constantly, buying gifts, offering reassurance, as if flooding her with effort will bring her back. But that's not how female desire works. The more you chase, the more she withdraws. The more you prove, the more she questions why she doesn't feel what she used to. Desire cannot be negotiated, explained, or bought. It's emotional fire, and once it dims, you can't reignite it by handing her more of the same comfort she's grown numb to. You must understand this. Women live in the realm of emotion. They crave unpredictability not in a chaotic way, but in a way that makes them feel like they could lose something precious if they don't hold on to it. It's tension, polarity, the spark that comes from not fully owning a man's attention. The man she secretly chooses doesn't even have to give her much. Sometimes his silence says more than your words. Sometimes the fact that he doesn't bend at her every request makes her wonder what it would take to truly earn him. That curiosity is the seed of attraction. Meanwhile, you keep solving problems for her. You keep giving her more of what she says she wants. But men, listen carefully. What she says she wants and what she responds to are not always the same. She may say she wants stability, but what pulls her is the man who can walk away if he isn't respected. She may say she wants consistency, but what excites her is the man who has his own life, his own mission, and doesn't drop everything for her at a moment's notice. This contradiction is where most men lose the game. And here's the cruel irony. Women don't consciously plan this. She doesn't wake up one morning and decide, I'll betray the man who gives me everything. Instead, she finds herself drawn to the emotional high another man provides, and that attraction grows like a shadow. At first, it's harmless, just curiosity, just a thought. But then curiosity turns into fantasy. Fantasy turns into comparison. And comparison kills relationships, because once she tastes that emotional intensity with him, she will silently resent the lack of it with you. Think of it like this. If you eat bland food every day, and then one day taste something rich, spicy, unforgettable, you'll never look at the bland meal the same way again. That's what happens in her psychology. She starts asking herself, why do I feel more alive in a 5-minute conversation with him than I do in an entire evening with you? And the moment that question lodges in her mind, your relationship is in danger. So what's the solution? Not to become him, not to play games, not to betray your own values? The answer lies in reclaiming what made her choose you in the first place, your independence, your mission, your masculine edge. Remember when you weren't trying to impress her? Remember when you were focused on your own growth, your own goals, your own sense of self? That's what pulled her in. That's what made you magnetic. And that's what she now feels missing. The tragedy is that so many men only realize this after she's already gone, after she's chosen him in secret, after she's handed over her emotional loyalty somewhere else. Don't let that be you. Don't let her forget that you are a man she could lose, because if she never feels that possibility, she will never fight to keep you. There is a moment every man must face, the quiet realization that love alone is not enough. You can love her with your whole heart, provide her with stability, protect her, and still lose her. Not because you weren't enough as a man, but because you misunderstood the psychology of what makes a woman stay in love. She doesn't just want safety. She wants to feel like she is standing next to a man who could walk away, who doesn't need her to validate his worth. That tension is what keeps her interest alive. Look back to the early days when she first chose you. What made her eyes light up when you spoke? What made her nervous before you called? It wasn't that you gave her everything. It was that she didn't know if she fully had you yet. It was the uncertainty that drove her to chase, to impress, to prove herself worthy of your attention. That dynamic flips when you make her the center of your universe. Suddenly, she feels no tension, no uncertainty, no need to earn you, because she already owns you completely. And in that ownership, she loses the fire. This is the part most men never hear, because society tells you the opposite. You're told that if you give more, if you love harder, if you sacrifice everything for her, she'll never leave. But psychology doesn't work that way. Desire doesn't grow from comfort. It grows from polarity. It grows when she feels both safe and challenged. If you only give safety, she will seek challenge elsewhere. And the man who gives her that contrast, the one who makes her feel slightly off balance, who holds his ground instead of folding, becomes the man she secretly craves. Think about this. Women test men not to destroy them, but to feel their strength. When she challenges your decisions, when she pushes your boundaries, she's not trying to annoy you. She's subconsciously asking, "Are you the man I can trust to stand strong even when I push?" If you fold every time, if you bend your entire identity around keeping her happy, she may smile in the moment, but inside, she loses respect. Respect dies first, then attraction, then loyalty. And that's when the secret choices begin. She doesn't announce them. She doesn't tell you she's comparing you to him. She just starts pulling away, little by little. Less eye contact, less intimacy, more excuses, more time on her phone, until one day you realize she hasn't chosen you in months. Her body was present, but her soul was gone. Men, this is why boundaries are not just important, they're essential. A woman doesn't want a man she can control. She wants a man she can admire. And admiration comes from strength, from independence, from holding firm to your values even when it risks upsetting her. If she can move you with every emotional storm, she will see you as weak. And weakness is the birthplace of betrayal. Now let's be brutally honest. Every man fears this. Every man fears giving his all, only to be replaced by a man who gave far less. But here's the paradox. The way to stop her from secretly choosing someone else isn't by giving more. It's by needing less. By making sure your world doesn't collapse without her. By showing her, without words, that while you love her deeply, you don't depend on her to breathe. That energy creates gravity. It makes her lean into you instead of drifting away. Ask yourself, have you been overgiving to keep her? Have you been lowering your standards to avoid losing her? Have you been silencing your voice just to keep the peace? Every time you do, you teach her that she doesn't need to fight for you, that you'll always be there, no matter how she treats you. And when she no longer feels the risk of losing you, she stops valuing what you bring. That's when another man, who does make her feel that risk, begins to steal her attention. This isn't about being cruel. It's not about ignoring her or withholding love. It's about embodying the strength that first made her fall for you, the strength that says, "I choose you, but I don't need you. I give to you, but I don't lose myself for you. I love you, but I remain me." That is the man she cannot walk away from. That is the man she will fight to keep. You need to understand something most men never do. Women rarely leave suddenly. They leave slowly, piece by piece, in silence. By the time she walks out the door physically, she's been gone emotionally for months, sometimes years. The scariest part? She can be lying next to you every night, smiling in pictures with you, even saying, "I love you," all while her heart is drifting toward another man. That's the betrayal men never see coming. Not because they were blind, but because they believed words over energy. Her words may say, "I'm happy." But her energy tells a different story. She no longer leans into you when she laughs. Her kisses feel quick, almost routine. She scrolls her phone at night, not because she's busy, but because she's avoiding connection. And when you ask what's wrong, she brushes it off. That's not confusion, that's withdrawal. She's pulling back because she no longer fears losing you, and in that gap, she has space to imagine someone else. Now let's expose the truth you've been shielded from. Women crave emotional movement. They want to feel drawn upward, challenged, inspired, even slightly uncertain. They don't crave drama, but they do crave intensity. The man who gives her that spark will dominate her thoughts, even if she's committed to you. And if you've settled into the role of caretaker, provider, giver of all things, without also being the man who excites her, she will begin to detach. This is why so many men are shocked when they find out about another man. They think, how could she choose him? He has less money, less status, less stability. But that's where logic fails. Women don't fall for logic. They fall for feeling. If he makes her feel alive, even in small doses, her psychology starts to betray her loyalty. She may hate herself for it, she may fight it, but she cannot escape it. Emotion is stronger than intention. So, what does that mean for you? It means you must stop confusing effort with attraction. You can work twice as hard and still fall behind the man who barely lifts a finger if that man sparks her emotions. This is why chasing harder, giving more, and trying endlessly to prove your worth only backfires. The more you do it, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you become, the less she feels. And the less she feels, the closer she drifts toward the man who does make her feel. Here's the brutal reality. Women respect effort, but they are moved by mystery. They appreciate kindness, but they are compelled by strength. They like stability, but they crave unpredictability. When you give only the first set, you may earn her gratitude, but not her devotion. Gratitude is not attraction. Gratitude is what she feels for her parents, her friends, her mentors. But attraction? That's what she feels for the man she fears she could lose. This is why men who maintain their independence, their purpose, their boundaries, never struggle to keep a woman's interest. Because she knows, even if only subconsciously, that he doesn't need her to define him. That energy is magnetic. It's the opposite of desperation. And desperation is the silent killer of relationships. Ask yourself this. Does she chase you, or do you only chase her? Does she fight for your time, or are you constantly rearranging your life to fit hers? Does she light up when you walk into the room, or do you find yourself trying to earn her smile? Those answers reveal whether she is truly choosing you, or whether she has already started choosing him in secret. But here's the hope most men miss. You can shift this dynamic. You can reignite her respect, her desire, her loyalty, not by doing more for her, but by doing more for yourself, by becoming the man she cannot fully predict, the man whose attention feels valuable, the man who makes her feel like she must hold on tightly or risk losing you. That is the man she craves in her bones. And if you don't embody that role, another man will. Not because he's better, not because she stopped loving you, but because her psychology won't allow her to stay where she no longer feels alive. Let me tell you the truth no man wants to face. Love is not taken from you. It's surrendered when you forget who you are. Women rarely betray men who stand in their full strength. They betray men who lose their edge, men who forget their independence, men who give so much that there's nothing left to respect. And when that happens, she doesn't consciously decide to choose him in secret. Her emotions push her there. Her psychology rewires itself toward the man who provides what you stopped providing: tension, unpredictability, and the thrill of possibly losing him. You see, men are trained to believe the greatest danger is not giving enough, but the greatest danger is actually giving too much without requiring her to match it. Love without balance turns into comfort. Comfort without polarity turns into boredom. And boredom is the breeding ground for betrayal. She doesn't drift because she hates you. She drifts because she stopped feeling the need to hold on. Think about it. Every love story begins with pursuit, not her chasing you endlessly, but the subtle dance where you held back just enough for her to wonder, does he really want me? Does he truly choose me? Or do I need to prove myself? That tension is what fuels desire. The moment you eliminate it, you unknowingly make her feel safe enough to leave, safe enough to stop fighting for your love. Here's the bitter reality. The man she chooses in secret doesn't have to offer half of what you give. He doesn't have to sacrifice his time, his money, his energy. He simply has to stand in his own frame, independent, unmoved, unwilling to be swallowed by her needs. And because that energy is rare, she becomes drawn to it like a flame in the dark. Not because she plans it, not because she wants to betray you, but because female psychology is wired to crave the man who makes her feel she could lose him. Now, listen closely. This doesn't mean you stop giving. It doesn't mean you become cold, detached, or cruel. It means you learn the balance. You give love without losing yourself. You provide safety without losing the spark. You stand by her without bending into someone you're not. A woman cannot stay loyal to a man she doesn't admire, and she cannot admire a man who has made her the center of his entire world. She wants to orbit you, not become your sun. That is why the strongest relationships are built not on obsession, but on respect. on a man who lives with purpose outside of her, who inspires her to rise because he is already rising. That is the man she will never betray because her emotions cannot detach from him. He is both her home and her challenge, both her safety and her storm. And if you've already felt her drifting, if you've already sensed that sting of her choosing another man in secret, you must decide who you will be now. Will you beg, chase, overgive until she pities you? Or will you rise back into the man you were before she softened you? Because the truth is, you don't just lose women, you lose yourself. And the only way to get her back, or to ensure no woman ever walks away again, is to return to your edge. So I'll ask you one question, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. Do you feel she is fighting to keep you, or are you the only one fighting to keep her? If this hit you deeply, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more truth you were never supposed to know, and share it with a friend who needs to hear it before it's too late. Because the difference between a man who gets chosen in secret and the man who stays chosen for life is only one thing: the strength to never lose himself.